So I've seen some clips of the Notting Hill Carnival, a carnival which first took place in 1966, and it celebrates Afro-Caribbean culture. That's the purpose of it, that's how it started. Well, the latest clips would have made your forefathers, who originally set that carnival up, probably if they were dead, turn in their grave, and if they're alive, just thoroughly disgusting. What you've actually done for your culture in this country is probably set it back to the Stone Age. Let me explain why, and I'm going to be very, very careful of what I say here, because there is many black people that can't understand what it is that you lot are doing when you go there. And there were some black people that didn't even feel safe at the said carnival and were asked to be taken home. Now, let's just think about this. When you start this thing called twerking, which is where you bend over and you shake your posterior vigorously at random strangers or whoever is about, that's one thing which in itself is fairly grotesque, given the fact that half of the people that do it aren't really in a shape to do it. But that's just keeping it real. But when you get some complete random stranger tongue punch your fart box, I would suggest that something's wrong, maybe on both sides, because, bear with, having put your posterior out there, to have a random stranger stick his tongue in your box, the wrong one, the main vent, right, I would have thought, would have horrified you. I would have thought you would have probably said that that was some kind of assault, perhaps even maybe a low-level part of rape, I don't know, because they've invaded one of your most personal and intimate spaces with the tongue. Obviously there was some clothes in between, but you get the idea, right? But for a stranger to also think that that's completely acceptable, to go up to a random woman who is doing some vulgar act with her rear end and think it'd be natural to stick your tongue in there. Am I missing something? Because I don't see that happen very much down the high street. Now, then you get to the point where they're swinging on all the railings, okay? Or worse still, they jump on the street furniture. And I remember last year where they were all jumping on top of a bus show until it collapsed and they crushed the people below it and a load of them went through it. And it was, well, it wasn't very good. What I'm trying to say here is that the way that many of the people act when they go to it gives people who perhaps have already got a slanted opinion of people of a different colour all the backup they need. You are actually a self-fulfilling prophecy when they look at you. They actually are vindicated of all of what they think when they look at things like that. You do not help yourself. Now, I know that you are far from indicative of the complete coloured people that we have over here, far from it. We've got very many decent and professional people over here. We've got people of all levels of financial status, religious status, educational status that don't act like that, okay? But because there's not usually a camera on those people, because they go about their life discreetly and mind their own business and they fit in and everything goes well, that people don't want to record that, which is a shame, but they don't. You know, we've got very many people that went up through school working very hard, knew right from wrong, knew how to hold themselves, elegant, etc. Men and women, men that were gentlemen, women that were ladies, and they've grown up and they've had a beautiful life. They've been a credit to the country. There's people that will follow me that won't like that, but that's the fact. And then you get these things, that everything they do is to be vulgar, to be degenerate, and the way they hold themselves and the way they act is morally, physically and ethically repugnant. But it gets worse. Then you've got all the assaults, a lot, and then obviously the knife crime, because that's a thing these days, isn't it? You can't go to a carnival without a knife, can you? Because, well, Well, you wouldn't be dressed, would you? So you had 8 stabbings as well, and as I say, numerous other assaults, and then you've got the robbery and the drug crime. Basically what I'm trying to say here is, whatever this was set up from originally, you have taken it, bastardized it, ruined it, and made yourselves look awful on the English stage and indeed the world stage, because this stuff generally gets around the world. So credit where it's due, you have done an absolute fabulous job of setting back the reputation of the colour people in the UK back God knows how far. Now let's just compare it to a different carnival. Weston-super-Mare. We've been having a carnival there with floats, big handmade floats, tractors all decorated up, right, and all the trailers, and another trailer dragged on behind, and they have people who have built these up to represent maybe pirates one year, Star Trek the next year, or whatever. And there's huge amounts of lights, it's beautiful, and there's sound systems on it, and there's people who are dressed up, made up, and all the rest of it, and all of this carnival, the machinery of it all moves, and it's wonderful. Look it up on the YouTube, it's all there. It's absolutely fabulous. We've been doing this for years, absolutely years. That just happened there because that originally came out of Bridgewater. So there was Bridgewater, Burnham, Highbridge, Weston-super-Mare, and I believe there's about 4 more events in it. These people do this out there, out of donations and stuff, and it's fantastic. Anyway, thousands and thousands and thousands of people line the streets and watch this. They don't knife each other. They don't feel the need to wear next to no clothing and get their arse out there and get rimmed out by a complete stranger. They don't feel the need to act like a pack of lunatics. Now there is a saying, it's called something out, and I can't say the first part, but I never knew what that was. And I thought it was quite a vulgar expression. But when I looked it up, and I looked at what they were saying these people were doing, I had to say that, you know, it just, as a group, they get together, they play off each other, and they get worse. Why? I want to ask you why. I don't want to see any one group do badly. And I can't, for the life of me, understand that living in the same country, but the same rules, the same schools, and all the rest of it, why you choose to be like that. Because you're not doing yourselves any good. You're going to look back in years to come at that, and you're going to cringe. Or at least I would expect any normal person to cringe, all right? And I think you will regret what you're doing now, whether you're just playing into the time at the moment and trying to be more extreme than anybody else so you get attention, I don't know. But the whole thing just left me thinking, they've not helped themselves here at all. Do you see what I'm feeling here? And the talk that's used and the actions that are used, that's got nothing to do with the culture that came from the Caribbean. I'm sorry, not now, not the way they're acting, nothing like it. Now, when you get the ladies and the gentlemen there in the traditional costume, dancing and stuff like that, brilliant, love it, absolutely great. When you get the food there, wonderful. But what it's become, no, can't agree. Let me know what you think. Am I being too harsh? Am I not being harsh enough? But let me know what you think in the comments. It just seemed that I saw earlier on, I can't put any of that footage up here because I'd literally be given an 18 if I was not banned. But I just don't get it. You have a beautiful opportunity there and you fuck it up. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll speak to you soon.